Now, foreign ministers of Egypt and Ethiopia and Sudan agreed on Wednesday to work toward resolving their dispute over the filling and operation of a massive dam project in Ethiopia by January 15, 2020. U.S. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin hosted talks to work out differences over the Grand Ethiopian Dam. The ministers reaffirmed their joint commitment to reach a comprehensive, adaptive, sustainable, and mutually beneficial agreement on the filling and operation of the dam, and to establish a clear process for fulfilling that commitment in accordance with the 2015 Declaration of Principles. Egypt fears the filling of the dam reservoir on the Blue Nile tributary will restrict already scarce supplies of water from the Nile, on which the country is almost entirely dependent. Sudan is also downriver from the project. Ethiopia says the hydroelectric dam, which will be Africa's largest, is crucial to its economic development. Now, for more perspective on this story, I'm joined in the studio by VOA's Salem Solomon. Salem, welcome back to Africa 54.
Thanks for having me.
Now, what really prompted the tensions between these three countries? Why have they escalated to the extent that we see them being called over to the U.S.?
So the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam is the largest to be built. It's $4 billion US dollars project, the largest in Africa to be built. It's been in construction since 2011. Egypt, even though it's being built by Ethiopia, the Nile diverts and affects upstream countries, Egypt and Sudan. Egypt relies on the Nile for 90% of its water supply. So Sudan and Egypt have been apprehensive about this, and they've been having negotiations so many negotiations in the past, including a 1950s agreement that gives exclusive right to Egypt and upstream countries and excludes Ethiopia. So essentially it's about control. And so the recent tension is about control over the filling of the reservoir of the dam.
Now, we saw Egypt and Ethiopia having discussions on the sidelines of the Africa-Russia summit just recently. What really got the U.S. getting involved again to have to mediate the talks between now those two countries plus Sudan?
So what prompted the U.S.'s involvement? In August, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi came to the U.S. And had a discussion with U.S. President Donald Trump and mentioned the issue or the tension of Ethiopian Grand Renaissance Dam. And President Trump assigned or talked to Secretary Steven Mnuchin, and that's what we saw yesterday as a result of that. So the foreign ministers of the three countries, Sudan, Egypt, and Ethiopia, came and talked about the technicalities of this. So the consensus from yesterday's meeting is that, Trump tweeted saying it is one of the largest in the world, and that all the meeting went well. They met at the White House and later on at the Treasury. And the consensus from yesterday's meeting is that it went well, and in the coming months they'll have more agreement. But this is agreement on the technical aspects of the dam.
If you can briefly summarize for us, how important is this dam for that region?
It's very important. So Ethiopia hopes to complete it by 2022, and it could produce 6,000 megawatts of electricity. Some could be exported. That's what they're envisioning. And Ethiopia sees this as a centerpiece for its economic and development and energy independence of the region. And so, but Egypt Egypt's picture is much more difficult because the country is already facing water crisis, and the Egyptian officials are saying 570 cubic meters of water per person per year right now. And hydrologists say that for a country to face water scarcity, it has to have 1,000 cubic meters per person annually. So they're below this, and they'll fight on this issue for a while.
You'll follow that up again for us, Salem. Thank you so much.